Today it's still March and there's still madness. All right. So we had some Elite Eight action going on today. The second four of the Elite Eight going on today. That was Michigan, UCLA, and USC Gonzaga. The day started off with USC and Gonzaga playing. And Gonzaga is scary, man. Gonzaga absolutely has dominated everybody. They've looked like the best team in this tournament. They were the number one overall seed. So as predicted, they've looked like the number one team, but they look so good. And USC stars came out and they still did their thing and everything. But Gonzaga basically took a lead, double-digit lead in the first half, and then just held on to it through the whole game. So Gonzaga is looking so good right now. And it's not just Suggs. Timmy's balling out. Like, they have so many good players balling out right now for Gonzaga. They're looking really scary. But that was the first game that happened. And then the night game was the really exciting one. 11 UCLA and number 1 Michigan faced off. And it was very back and forth all throughout. At the beginning of the game, it was like nobody was scoring at all. It was like 3 minutes left in the first half. It was something like 17-14 or something like crazy. No, it was like 17-18. But of UCLA's 18 points, one guy had 14 of those points. So it was crazy. Nobody was scoring. It was just absolutely nuts. But then things heated up in the second half. Actually, towards the end of the first half, UCLA started taking off, and then it was very back and forth in the second half. And then with 0.5 seconds on the clock, Michigan was down by 2. They had the ball under their own basket, so 0.5 is enough time to catch and shoot, get a shot off for either go for 2 for the tie or go for 3 for the win. They chose to, or I don't know, maybe it was the only option, to go for 3. The shot that they took, it was not very good. Like, I felt like the shooter didn't realize he had a catch and shoot opportunity. He kind of just caught and like shot putted it, and so it looked like it might bank in. That was his only chance. It was not an online shot at all. So Michigan falls to UCLA. There's the madness that you're looking for. Number 11 UCLA is moving on to the Final Four, and they will face that scary Gonzaga team on Saturday. The other half of the Final Four is Houston and Baylor, who got there yesterday. So that's your March Madness going on. We love March Madness. March is almost over, and the tournament's almost over, man. The Final Four. Let's go. And let's go into not college basketball. We just did college basketball. It's college football. Why don't you? So today was Mac Jones Pro Day and Justin Fields Pro Day. So for those of you who have been keeping track, or for those of you who haven't been keeping track of quarterbacks, let's review the quarterback landscape in college football. So, number 1, you have Trevor Lawrence. He's the, without a doubt, number 1 overall quarterback coming out. He's been the number 1 since he was in high school. In fact, when he got to Clemson, Kelly Bryant was the quarterback. Kelly Bryant took Clemson to the national championship the year before. They lost to Alabama, but he took him to the national championship, and still, having a quarterback who had taken you to a national championship, Trevor Lawrence was still able to beat him out and become the starter shortly into that season. So Trevor Lawrence has been, without a doubt, the best quarterback for the last 3-4 years. Just super, super talented. Number 2 has been Justin Fields for a long, long time. We've considered Justin Fields right behind Trevor Lawrence. Whoever was going to take the next quarterback was going to take Justin Fields. However, through this offseason, Zach Wilson has stepped up and become that number 2 guy, it seems. At least that's what we're being told, is the Jets really want him. And I'm not trying to say that they're lying or anything, but Zach Wilson leapfrogged Justin Fields and is, in most people's minds, the number 2 quarterback, or at least the number 2 taken quarterback. Even if they don't think Zach Wilson is really the second best quarterback, they probably still think that the Jets are going to take him, because it seems pretty obvious that the Jets are going to take him at number 2. So Justin Fields then drops to 3, or maybe not. The 49ers, who have the 3rd pick in the draft, they chose to go to Mac Jones's pro day instead of Justin Fields yesterday. So both those pro days happened yesterday. We're going to break them down and talk to you about what matters and what didn't matter. But that's the real thing right now is, okay, Justin Fields was the number 2. We were all sure he was the number 2 guy when the season ended. Now Zach Wilson has gotten in front of him. Is Mac Jones going to get in front of him as well? I can't tell you what the 49ers are going to do, but I can tell you I don't think that they should do that. I don't think that they should take Mac Jones over Justin Fields because Justin Fields is a freak. He's just a baller. So let's get into it. First of all, saying the 49ers went to Mac Jones's pro day over Justin Fields' pro day is such an oversimplification. I said it because that's what you're going to hear. People are going to tell you that they chose to go to Mac Jones over Justin Fields. Now, obviously, with the third pick in the draft, they are looking quarterback, or they have to be looking quarterback. So that's a real concern for people. Everyone was like, oh, this is an obvious sign they're going to take Mac Jones. And maybe it is. But something to think about is it's not Justin Fields' pro day or Mac Jones' pro day. It's Ohio State's pro day or Alabama's freaking pro day. Do you know who is at Alabama's pro day? How about Najee Harris, Devontae Smith, Weddle? They got so many different guys at Alabama who are just like freak athletes that everybody is going to want to see in real life. Everyone's going to want to take a look at it. So I don't think it's just as simple as saying, oh, they're going to take Mac Jones because they went to his pro day over Justin Fields. That's the narrative that's being pushed right now. It could be true. I know nothing about what's going on in the 49ers' heads, but all I know is Justin Fields is a freaking baller. But I actually have good things to say about both these guys. So let's start there with Justin Fields. I think his upside and potential is just off the charts. I think he can do everything. He is not an athlete who can also throw the ball. He is a quarterback who just so happens to be incredibly athletic. Justin Fields can absolutely ball out and do it all. Justin Fields ran a 4.44 40-yard dash. So crazy fast, super athletic, can do it all. So I think Justin Fields is the third best. Well, I think he might be the second best quarterback, but I think the Jets are going to take Zach Wilson. I think the 49ers should take Justin Fields right after that. But Mac Jones, if they do take Mac Jones, I have really good things to say about him as well. I think Mac Jones has the best job security of anybody in this draft. Now, it's kind of weird that I just said he's the fourth best quarterback in the draft and he has the best job security. Well, let me tell you why. So I watched the national championship game and I watched Mac Jones pick apart defenses. Now, at first glance, you may say, well, he's got Devontae Smith to throw to, Najee Harris. He's got all of these great athletes out there that are making him look good. And that's true. His throws were really easy. Most of the time, they're wide open. And so that's the question that we have is, if he doesn't have that great of an offensive line and the defensive pressure's getting on him, and guys aren't like separating from the defensive backs and linebackers and everything, can he make those throws? But what I can tell you is Steve Sarkisian's offense that Mac Jones was just in was so complicated. He had people running like 3 different motions, the little like orbit motion where you go behind a quarterback and then they would come back and then they would like motion in front of the quarterback. He just had him going all over the place, right? So Steve Sarkisian's offense has all of these different motions of people moving around. And the reason is the whole time that's going on, Mac Jones is looking at the defense. These guys are moving around. He doesn't even care what they're doing because he knows exactly what's happening behind him. And he looks at the defense and he can see how the linebackers are reacting, how the corners are reacting, if safeties are bailing out when things are happening. He knows exactly what defenses look like and what a man defense would do in this situation, what a cover 2 would do if a motion is like this, what a cover 3 would do if a motion comes in an orbit. Like, I feel like he is so smart because of that offense that he was in. That was the most impressive thing in the national championship to me, was not his receivers were so good getting wide open and everything. I think most of the time his guys were wide open because he knew they were going to be wide open before the snap. He just read it, knew exactly what they were in, caught the ball, first option, threw it out there, caught, and that's when the athleticism took over. And anyone who can't make those special throws, but is a genius at reading defenses and all of the analytical stuff going on in a quarterback's mind, that guy can hold a clipboard on the sideline for 20 years. I think Mac Jones is set. I think no matter what happens, that he's going to be an NFL quarterback for basically as long as he wants.